They say you remember your worst humiliation more than your best day. I remember that day like it's tattooed inside me. It was my cousin's college acceptance party. The house was full of laughter, perfume, gold-plated trays, and the clink of champagne glasses. And me? I was in the kitchen wiping fingerprints off the silverware. Like always. That house was never mine. It belonged to my uncle and aunt. They took me in when my parents died. Told everyone they were raising me like their own. That was a lie. I wasn't the daughter. I was the help. I folded laundry. I ironed uniforms. I served food. And when guests came over, I disappeared. That day, I made the mistake of stepping out for a second. Just to look. Just to see what it felt like to belong. My aunt saw me and snapped. "Why are you out here?" she hissed through her smile, still holding a wine glass. "Go to the back. You're not one of the guests." Then she turned to the lady next to her and said, "She's my brother's daughter. We do what we can. She helps out around the house." That word, helps. Like I was a volunteer. Project. Not a person. I stood there frozen, my hands still smelling of bleach. A little girl, maybe 10, walked up to me and said, "Are you their maid?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. My throat was tight like something sharp was stuck inside. I just nodded. A little. Maybe. She smiled and walked away. And I stood there, 14 years old, wondering if I was invisible or just unworthy. That night, after the dishes were done and the lights dimmed, I went up to my small attic room. The one with no curtains and the broken fan. I pulled out the notebook I kept under my pillow. It was the only thing I had left from my mom. Her handwriting filled the first few pages. "Be brave," she wrote once. "Even when the world sees you as small." I traced her letters with my fingers. And I cried. Silently. Like I always did. Because I knew something now, something that changed me forever. I wasn't family. I was charity. But here's the thing they never saw coming. Every plate I washed I counted. Every insult I stored. Every time they said I was lucky to have a roof. I made a promise to myself. One day I won't just have a roof. I'll own the whole damn house. They wanted me quiet. They wanted me obedient. They wanted me to accept that my life was a favor. But I wasn't born to serve tea. I was born to build something so big that they'd one day choke on their own silence. Back then I didn't know how. I just knew why. And sometimes that's enough to begin. Before the attic room. Before the broken plates and tight smiles. Before I was told to stay in the kitchen. I was a little girl with braids, twirling in the living room while my dad clapped along to the music and my mom laughed so hard she'd forget to breathe. We were happy. Not rich. But whole. Every Friday my dad would bring home one small chocolate bar and tear it into 3 pieces. He'd say, "It tastes better when it's shared." I never knew how rare that kind of love was. My mom made bedtime magical. She'd braid my hair, kiss my forehead and say, "You are never too small to be important." That sentence, it stayed with me. Even when she didn't. It was raining that night. Hard. The kind of rain that sounds like the sky is cracking open. They were on their way back from a wedding. The plan was for me to sleep at my friend's house. I had just turned 9. At 2:13 a.m. my friend's mom shook me awake. Her eyes were red. Her voice was soft. She said, "There's been an accident." I remember the hospital. Cold lights. The smell of plastic and alcohol. A police officer knelt beside me. He didn't look me in the eyes. He said, "Your parents didn't make it." Just like that. No build-up. No warm hug. No warning. One moment I was someone's daughter. The next I was a child with no home. The funeral was a blur. I don't remember who cried or who spoke. I remember the sound of dirt falling on the coffin. That dull, final sound that told me, "This is it. You're on your own now." After that, I was sent to live with my dad's elder brother, my uncle. He and his wife said all the right things at first. "She's family. She'll be like one of our own. She's our responsibility." I believed them. I wanted to. I was a scared, broken child looking for love in someone else's house. For a while it felt okay. They let me have my own bed. Bought me new school shoes. Let me call them uncle and auntie. But slowly the mask slipped. Started with small things. "You're old enough to help around the house. Clean up your mess. Stop asking for new things." Then came the real cuts. You should be grateful we took you in. Your parents left you nothing. We didn't sign up for this. And the final blow. One afternoon I heard my aunt on the phone whispering, thinking I wasn't around. She's not our child. She's just a reminder of his dead brother. A burden. That word. Burden. I carried it like a backpack filled with bricks. I stopped asking for things. Stopped laughing too loud. Stopped making eye contact. I learned to blend into corners. School became optional. They said, why waste money when she's going to end up cleaning houses anyway? So they made me stay home more. Help around. Wash dishes. Iron clothes. Babysit the younger cousins. When guests came they said, she's shy or she prefers to stay upstairs. I didn't prefer it. I was told. One day I looked at a picture of my mom in my notebook. It was the only thing I had left. She was smiling wide and full like she believed in the world. And I broke. I held that picture against my chest and whispered, I'm sorry, Mama. I'm trying to be strong. But it hurts so much. That was the day I made a quiet promise to her. And to myself. If I can't have a family that lifts me up, I'll build a life that never lets me fall again. Not for pity. Not for revenge. But for peace. For worth. For the little girl who once danced in the living room. Loved and whole. You'd think the hardest part of being treated like a servant is the work. But it's not. It's the silence. It's when you walk past a mirror and forget what your own eyes used to look like before the light dimmed. It's when people say, she's so quiet. But what they don't hear is the screaming going on inside. I was 15 when I stopped crying. Not because I wasn't hurt. Because I realized it didn't matter. No one was coming. No one saw me when I burned my hand making tea. No one noticed the bruises on my arms from carrying heavy laundry bags. No one cared that I used the same backpack for 4 years, held together by safety pins. But I noticed. I started watching everything. How my uncle spoke. How my aunt controlled money. How they looked at me. Not with love, not even with pity, but with indifference. And I thought to myself, if they won't invest in me, I'll do it myself. At night, when everyone slept, I snuck into the laundry room with a flashlight and an old biology book I found in the trash. I taught myself things. 1 page a night. Then 2. I had no tutor. No Wi-Fi. But I had a hunger. Some kids dream of toys. I dreamed of a desk. A cubicle. A keycard. A real life. When I was 17, I secretly applied for a community college in another state. Used the public library's computer. Borrowed an identity card just to submit the form. Wrote an essay that started with, I'm not asking for a chance because I deserve it. I'm asking because I survived the kind of silence most people never come back from. A month later I got the email. Accepted. Full scholarship. I stared at the screen until my eyes blurred. When I told my aunt, she laughed. Actually laughed. Oh honey, she said. Who's gonna hire a maid like you? You don't even have nice clothes for an interview. I packed anyway. Just 1 suitcase. A pair of jeans. 2 shirts. And the notebook with my mother's words inside. Be brave, she'd written. Even when the world sees you as small. The bus ride to college was 14 hours. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I just stared out the window praying for a sign. When I reached the dorm was full. They said my name wasn't on the list. I slept in the storage room for 2 nights. Used a rolled-up hoodie as a pillow. But I was free. Free to work, to cry, to try. I worked 2 jobs. Morning shifts at a grocery store. Nights cleaning offices. I studied in bathrooms, in break rooms, even inside bathroom stalls when the noise was too much. I barely passed my first semester. But I didn't stop. Because every mop I pushed reminded me of where I came from. And every clean floor became my canvas. That's when the idea came. I knew cleaning. I understood dignity. What if I created a service that made people feel proud, not ashamed? I called it House Proud. Started with flyers. Then a simple website I built with a tutorial. Then a team, just 2 women from my dorm who also needed work. We cleaned like artists. Not just wiping dust, we were erasing shame. One day, I was scrubbing a marble kitchen floor when the homeowner came home early. Turned out he was a tech investor. He asked who owned the service. I raised my hand, still wearing gloves. He looked impressed. A week later, he invited me to pitch the business to his partners. I almost said no. I didn't even own a blazer. But I borrowed one, walked into that glass building, and told them the truth. People think cleaning is dirty work. But for some of us, it's survival. And with dignity, it can become power. They invested. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I walked out calmly, bought myself my first hot coffee from a real cafe, and sat there shaking because it finally felt real. 3 years later, I had a staff of 50. Houseproud was in 3 cities. We had an app, an office, and real clients. One night I couldn't sleep. I started browsing Zillow. And there it was. The mansion. Their mansion. For sale. Reduced price. Bankruptcy. I stared at that listing for an hour. Then I smiled. It was time. I bought the mansion in silence. No name. No visit. Just a wire transfer and a lawyer who knew how to keep his mouth shut. The listing said, urgent sale. Former owners relocating. Property in distress. No one told me they were in distress. But I wasn't surprised. Because when you build your life on control and that control slips, you start to drown in your own lies. The eviction notice was sent 2 days later. 30 days to vacate. Signed, new ownership group. I imagined the moment they got it. My aunt pacing. My uncle yelling at a helpless realtor. My cousin blaming the world like always. They had no idea who bought it. But they knew they were being erased from the house they once ruled. Week 1, silence. Week 2, a message from my cousin. Hey, any idea who bought the house? My mom's freaking out. I didn't reply. Week 3, another message. Can you at least help us figure something out? It's not like we did anything to you. I laughed. Out loud. In my office. In my custom chair. At my own damn desk. They didn't do anything. They just made a child into a servant and called it kindness. Final day. I arrived in a black car, windows tinted. Dressed in a simple white suit. Hair back. No makeup. No jewelry. I didn't need to prove anything anymore. They were standing outside beside piles of luggage. Cousin crying. Aunt on the phone. Uncle red with rage. I stepped out. He froze. She dropped her purse. My cousin's eyes widened. I looked at them. Calm. Steady. And said, remember me? Silence. Then I added, the maid you raised. I walked past them. To the door. Unlocked it. Walked in. The same floors I used to mop. The same chandeliers I once cleaned with a broken ladder. But now they echoed with my footsteps. They followed me in begging. Please, we didn't mean. No, I said quietly. You meant every word. Every time you told me I was lucky to be here. Every time you called me help. Every time you let me believe I didn't deserve more. They were crying now. I wasn't. I turned, smiled gently and said, I cleaned your floors. Now I own your ceilings. Get off my property. They left. No yelling. No curse. No drama. Just shame. The kind that follows you home and whispers in your ear at night. That evening I walked through every room. Opened every window. Let the light in. Then I sat on the same balcony they never let me touch. And watched the sky turn gold. I didn't post anything online. Didn't throw a party. I just picked up the phone. And called the orphanage where I once donated quietly every year. You have a girl who wants to study fashion design, I said. Tell her there's a place here. A home. And a mentor. They asked my name. I smiled. Just tell her. The ceilings are hers now. I sleep well these days. Not because I got revenge. But because I got something better. Peace. And every time someone says, you're so lucky, I smile to myself and think, no, I'm not lucky. I'm the storm they never saw coming. Thank you for listening to my story. If you ever feel small, unseen, or discarded, just remember, you don't need permission to rise. You just need a reason. And sometimes, pain is reason enough.